Welcome to Coach's Corner, everybody. Thanks for watching the podcast. I am your host, Coach Paul Tripoli. To my right on the screen, Billy Pendock, my old high school teammate at Liverpool High. He went on to Syracuse and became teammates with our guest this Saturday, Craig Bingham. Craig, it's great to be with you.
Good to see you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, my gosh. We got so much to talk about. Craig was a sixth-round pick of the Steelers out of Syracuse. 1981 was his last year. Former linebacker number 57 for the Orange, 54 at Pittsburgh, as you were the sixth-round pick, 1982 of the Steelers. First, if I'm not correct, first Jamaican-born player to play in the NFL.
So I am told. I did not know that, as we were going through. In fact, I was notified that I was at an event for Mel Blount, and I was being introduced, and I remember Jerome Bettis kind of posing it as a question, and I stopped and looked at him and said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, that's what it says right here. Your first." I said, "Wow, that's okay. I'm honored."
Holy cow! You were born in Jamaica, Kingston. How did talk about the beginning? Talk about your mom and your dad and any siblings and how you got to Sanford, Connecticut.
Oh, well, my parents came up first to kind of test the water, so to speak, to see what was, what can come of it. Because what was starting to go on, we started having some political unrest in Jamaica, that was festered by other people bringing guns into the country. And so there's some things going on. And so they felt that it was best for us to get out. And so, they came up for a few years, stayed in Jamaica. They came back a couple times, but stayed with family members because we had a pretty good sized piece of property down there. So I was with my grandparents, aunts, and uncles. And then we migrated to the States in 71.
Wow. Did you have any brothers or sisters?
Yes, two of each.
Wow. Good sized family of five. Two boys and two girls.
Yes. Well, three boys total. Yeah, two girls.
Were you the youngest or one of the oldest of the siblings?
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest. Wow. A lot of responsibility, a lot of babysitting.
Yeah, but it comes with the territory. You just deal with it.
Wow, your journey. Did you play multiple sports at Sanford High School?
I went to a VOTEC school to start off with. After getting through, the primary stuff, elementary, the rest of your elementary, junior high, and then high school. When I went to the high school, I went to, because I wanted to become an electrical engineer. So I went to a VOTEC school and studied electrical there. And it was, I'm trying to remember what happened, my junior year. Summer of my junior year, I went to the regular high school that I would have gone to, which is Stanford High. And I was training with one of my younger brothers. And the football coach come walking by, and they had a meeting, and he introduced himself. Mark Lyons introduced himself and asked me where I went to school, what college I went to. I said, I don't go to college. He said, well, where do you go to school? And I told him, I was going to school at the trade school, Wright Tech. He said, what are you doing over there? And I said, I play soccer. And to this day, I can still hear his words. He said, you play soccer? What you doing playing soccer, son?
Yeah.
So from there, he asked a series of questions and was able to get me to transfer to Stanford High.
Wow. So did you guys have a good team? Talk about your coach and your teammates. Did you have any championships? And how did you find Syracuse? What was your journey in that recruiting process?
Well, one of the things that Coach Lyons said was, when he realized that I said I wanted to go to college, he said, I'm not going to promise you that you'll get a scholarship to go anywhere at all. I'm going to help you to make the connections to hopefully get you somewhere for college. And then, you kind of go from there. If you play well enough, then we'll see what happens with that. And on the football field, this was my first year playing football. I played soccer all the way up to that. Wow. So I was a defensive end, and all he said to me was, whoever has a football, just go tackle I said, okay, because they kept putting in plays, and I had no clue what the heck they were talking about. And, just said, I'll tell you what, forget about the plays. When the defense is called or whatever it is, the ball is snapped, you just go chase and find out whoever has the football, you tackle them. I said, okay.
Sounds easy enough.
Yep.
Well,
football's a simple game. Find a football, go tackle it.
I agree. Find the headhunters. Find the guys who like to go to the football. George O'Leary was good at that. Well, when you got to Syracuse, what was the recruiting process like, and who was your roommate there? Talk a little bit about your early days at Syracuse.
Early days at Syracuse, I came in, didn't know a whole lot of anything really. I was recruited by one of the Angelo brothers, and came in, and I was still learning. But the motivation for me was them saying, okay, freshmen, you guys have to work to get something going to be able to get on the field. And one of the ways we can do that is through special teams. So still not knowing enough and learning, Dennis Fitzgerald was our defensive coordinator, and he was a ball buster. I mean, former Marine guy. I can still remember, I was talking to telling the story not too long ago, where we were practicing. You can't do that stuff today, but we were practicing, and the Syracuse practices were probably 2.5, 3 hours long almost. And so it was the heat of the summer, and we were watching the offensive player go over and have a water break and get popsicles. I can't say the words that he used, but he just called them certain things and said, we didn't need any stinking water breaks. Let's put it that way. So you're out there for 2.5 hours and you're watching, the other side of the ball, and they're getting a breather, they're getting water, they're getting popsicles, and you couldn't have any of that.
Yeah, Fitzy was an old guy.
Fitz, well, you remember him, Billy. I mean, he was a little out there.
Billy, turn on your mic.
It's on.
Okay, Billy. Okay, go ahead. It's good. You're good.
All right. So.
Yeah, I had a call, and then I just. But Craig, I wanted to ask you, since we're talking about college. I mean, I have great memories of 5'7". Craig. I mean, when I came in, he was 3 years ahead of me, and I mean, if I gotta say, and I say this every time, Craig, when we do these, I learned so much about guys I played with that I never knew, because when we play together, especially upper class but lower class, we don't talk about personal stuff. Where'd you come from, where were you, and if I gotta say, Paulie, one word to describe Craig, and I remember, is professional. And the guy was just to the point, well spoken, would teach you if you asked, would listen if you talked to him, and wasn't a bully of a guy. Was just a great guy to play for.
Yeah, genuine. That way to throw flowers at him, Billy. Craig, go ahead, Billy.
I remember Craig fondly, and he was he was a beast on the field, man. I mean, playing next to Jimmy Collins, the two of them. I mean, it was something to see.
It was a lot of fun playing alongside you and Collins. I mean, those guys, some of those guys are just so great to be hanging with.
Yeah.
Doug, I want to ask you one quick question while we're talking about Syracuse. Now, you got caught in a coaching change between Coach Maloney and Coach McPherson. I ask everybody this. I was a Coach Mack guy. I came in with Coach Mack, and I got caught in a coaching change. And I just wanted your thoughts on, what were your thoughts between, now you can be honest, between Coach Mack or Coach Maloney and Coach Mack?
There's a tremendous difference between the two. Coach Mack was more of an external guy. He would get out, get in the community to try to get the community involved with the team. Coach Maloney, because of something that happened previously, had felt it was us against the world type of mentality. So he never looked to go outside of anything having to do with the team. So, we were not referred to with any high esteem on campus, excuse me, even though we had a lot of talent on the team. And it was just one of those things, but it was visibly noticeable. Now, I will say this in terms of coaching staff, Coach Max Group, the guy that coached me, cost me a lot, not just money, but also where I ended up on everything is according to God's plan. So I can't even say that, to be honest with you. But in my original thoughts, it was because of things that happened there that changed the way I played. When I played on the Frank Maloney's group, once you knew your stuff, you knew what you were able to go do. And it was, as long as you're playing within the confines of the defense that was called, you were allowed to go and do and just make the play. As I said before, football is a simple game. Find the football, make the play. And what happened with the coach that I dealt with Coach Max Group, it was, okay, if you're coming off the ball, you have to be precise, because that guy he was an offensive guy, a former offensive lineman. So his thing was, and he was just learning, it was his first entry into the defensive side of the ball and dealing with linebackers and so forth. And it was, okay, if you're going to take a step, then it's right foot first, right forearm first, and then follow through. It wasn't just go make the play. And because I didn't consistently do things the way that he wanted, and I understand that you have certain parameters that you have to follow. However, the objective is, as we've talked about at the outset, was go make the play.
Period.
Yeah. Right.
Now, Craig, one more thing, Paulie. Now, Craig, I felt like when I came out, the draft went through, and I mean, when the change happened, it was almost like my feeling was McPherson wanted to get rid of Maloney's guys. Couldn't wait till they were gone. It was much more. That's the way I took it, and it cost me a lot of spots in the draft. Okay. And I'm past it now, but I just wanted to see what your thoughts were on all that.
Yeah, I got a coaching change at Alabama too, from Coach Bryant to Ray Perkins, and there were a lot of changes. I actually got changed positions.
Wow.
It was so there's always adapt. Coach Bryant always taught us to adapt or die. You have to adapt to your environment. You have to adapt to your environment. I didn't get coaching. I think coaching in college for me was better than it was in the pros.
Okay.
I had better coaches in college than I did in the CFL or the NFL. Who are some of the coaches that were above and beyond technique-wise that you learned a lot from? Correct.
Well, as much as he was difficult to deal with at times, Coach Fitz taught a lot. I got more out of Coach Fitz at the collegiate level, and Coach Fitz ended up becoming a coach with the Steelers, and they moved him to inside linebackers versus outside linebackers. But I tell you what, I was so tempted at times when I was playing with the Steelers to ask if I could move from outside linebacker to an inside linebacker, because Coach Fitz, he knew his stuff, and he wasn't a big proponent of, okay, you have to follow everything to the T. He looked at the talent of the players that he had and tried to work with that. A lot of other coaches sometimes will come along and look at it and say, okay, this is what I want to establish. You're going to
try to fit those talents into their system. Yeah, exactly.
If you want to have success with anything that you do, whether it's on the field or in business, you have to evaluate the talent that you have and how does it fit in with whatever it is that you have in mind that you want to accomplish.
Yes. A good point. Great point, Craig. It's a good let's transition that, and it's a good transition into the question I wanted to ask you. You're good with structure and discipline of football. You're a great teammate and a leader. How did those characteristics help you in business? Same thing.
Same thing. You know, you look at what it is that you wanted to accomplish in business. First of all, you know, identifying your customers. And then from there, you then figure out what is it that the customer is looking for. We can all go in and do a lot of things, but you have to listen to what the people are asking you for. You know, once again, it goes back to, it's not about what I have to sell. It's what is the customer looking for?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And once you're able to find that and marry the two, then you'll have success at whatever it is that you're doing.
Oh, awesome. Some of your great moments at Syracuse. Some like you can't remember, you can't remember all the plays or even all the games. I don't remember even the games, but I remember moments. Talk about a couple moments that really stood out for you at Syracuse.
Oh
gosh. After a few concussions, that's not always an easy thing to do.
Right. Greg, Craig, we played with some great ones there. Talk about playing with Art Monk, Joe Morris, those guys.
Yeah. Paul, you're asking about memories and so forth, and most of what I'm thinking about had to do with Joe Morris and what he was able to do. First of all, one of the first thoughts that come to mind is when they opened the Dome and we were playing in the Dome, and the AD at the time, Jake Krauthamel, he was told that we needed padding on the walls. And, it was said that Jake was tighter than two coats of paint when it comes to money. And so Jake didn't want to buy the padding for the walls until we were playing in the game, and Joe gets tackled out of bounds and runs into the wall, and we got to stop the game for a while because we got to deal with Joe Morris is down on the ground. I'll tell you what, within a few days, all those pads were up on the side walls in no time.
Paulie, it's all concrete there. It's all concrete.
Yeah, I know. I remember that.
And, so when you look at the stadium now at Carrier Dome or whatever it's called, you see the padding on the wall, but before that there were no padding on the walls.
Oh, did you as linebacker? I mean, linebackers and running backs go one-on-one, wideouts and DBs go one-on-one. How many times did you have to go one-on-one with Joe Morris in the open field and tackling drills?
Going one-on-one with Joe Morris helped me a lot, because Joe was this back, and you just had to be on your P's and Q's, because when you think you had him lined up, if you didn't have your basic fundamentals in making a tackle, he would make you go try to find your jockstrap. Okay, it's just one of those things. And I remember it was our senior year, and Joe said to me, "Hey, Bing, it looks like both of us are going to be fortunate to get to the next level. And I'll tell you this right now: we're best buddies. You live in the housing next to me, but I'm gonna tell you what: when we get on the field, I don't know you. I'm gonna look to take your head off." And I said, "Joe, you better protect yourself, because I'm gonna look to rip your helmet off." And he said, "Okay, good. We're on the same page." So we had a game. We had a game in Pittsburgh at Three Rivers Stadium, and I was playing right outside linebacker, and I had Joe lined up. I mean, I just, the ball, I read the play, knew what the play was coming, squeezed, so there was nowhere for him to really go to my inside. He had to then try to go to the outside, but I kind of had that locked off, and my stance in trying to make the tackle, I didn't realize it at the time, but I was kind of wide. And what Joe ended up doing was, he couldn't go left, he couldn't go right. Joe went right through my legs. I mean, because Joe had that ability that he could kind of scoot real low on the ground. And so I ended up grabbing him by the hips as he's trying to scoot through my legs. I went, dang. I just turned and looked at him and just went back to the huddle, because I wasn't going to say anything.
Oh my God!
Paulie, the funny thing is, when he tells these you got to understand that Joe wouldn't say many words. He was very, very quiet. And when he did speak, it was very first right. And Craig, I don't know if you remember this, but he welcomed me to Division I college football by running around me first and then running over me the second time. And I looked at him and I said, how can a guy that's he's got to be what, 5'8", 5'9"?
Yeah,
maybe?
5'8", 5'9".
And I said, there ain't no effing way this guy's going to run me over. And he did. He
had that low center of gravity, man. It's just brutal.
He had
you
so
couldn't get
much
lower
power.
than him. Yeah, the power. Yeah,
strong.
Very strong. Very
Hey,
strong.
how about Art Monk? Was with the DB about covering Art Monk? Was he good in college? I mean, I played against Jerry Rice. I played with Jerry Rice in an All-Star game in '84.
Okay.
Before he went to, nobody knew anything about him. So we were learning in practice about Jerry before the whole world found out. But you knew about Art Monk before the world found out about him and the Redskins.
Yeah, one of the nice features about Art, if you're on his team, is when Art's running a pattern, he comes off the line of scrimmage, he's not moving real fast. So a DB will come up, you got a cornerback or even a safety that's covering him, and they'll come up and just kind of look at him and his movement, and it seems almost kind of lanky. But the next thing you know, they're turning their hips, but they're not opening fast enough, and he's gone. And you go, what the heck just happened? I mean, it was just customary to watch Art just run by people. The only DB that could cover Art and became a lockdown on Art and shut him down, unfortunately he passed away at an early age, was Cedric Hinton. Cedric was my roommate freshman year, and Cedric was extremely cerebral. He was a big kid. He was about 6 feet, 6'1", somewhere in there. As a DB, former All-American wrestler, in upstate New York.
Wow.
And so Cedric was really good. But when you looked at Cedric, you just figured, he's just too big. He's not going to be that fast. And he never really got up to jam Art at the line of scrimmage. He'll come up and hit you if you really needed to. But he's coming up, and Art, he would backpedal, and Art would take off. Cedric would turn and run with him step for step, and people were just going, wow. And then Cedric became a starter.
Gosh, what did you feel like? What was it like to get drafted by the Steelers? I mean, that's an icon franchise. I played for Bill Cowher at Cleveland. Preston Gothard, my first roommate at Alabama, and your roommate or your teammate at Pittsburgh said to say hello. He had nothing but good things to say about you. And
Preston, good guy, super guy.
Yeah, he is a super guy. Him and I helped each other a lot in college. But talk about your Pittsburgh years with, Mike Webster was still there, right? The great Mike Webster. Geez.
One of the things, there's something to be said about ignorance. And for me, I didn't know much about A, professional football, and B, didn't know much about the Steelers, in all honesty. Mm-hmm. When the phone rang that I was getting drafted, the night of the draft, the phone rang in the apartment, and I answered the phone, and I can't even remember who. I think it was Dick Haley that got on the phone. And he said, "Yes, this is Dick Haley, Pittsburgh Steelers." I said, "Yeah, right." And I hung up the phone. I hung up the phone. So the phone rings again, and
we're all
the person says, he said, "Hello, this is Dick Haley. Please don't hang up the phone." I said, "Is this a prank call? Who is this?" He said, "No, this is Dick Haley from the Pittsburgh Steelers. We drafted you tonight." And I went, "Oh, okay. Chuck Noll would like to speak with you." I said thank you and talked a couple words with Chuck Noll, and and then hung up the phone and went and do my laundry.
Oh my gosh, the Hall of Famer. Ignorance is bliss, isn't it? It's beautiful, man. Ignorance is bliss.
The best part of Craig's story is it's true because same thing happened. I was doing a roof with my father when the phone rang. It was Gil Brandt, general manager. Welcome to the Dallas Cowboys. I went out to tell my father. He said, "That's good. Grab another bundle of shingles to get your ass up on the roof." That's the way life used to be. Now it's
now it's filmed. Now it's all recorded. The local media is down there.
Oh yeah, everybody's around. There's a camera somewhere recording something, and you just go. You can't even say, words anymore because everything is on camera.
All right, George O'Leary steps on campus at Syracuse. Now, I don't know if you guys knew about him, but Billy played longer for him than anybody on the earth, 7 years.
Right.
3 years was enough for me with George. I'm glad he didn't take me to Syracuse with him. I'm thankful to God that I went to Alabama. But tell us the George O'Leary story. You got one?
I don't have much of anything on Coach O'Leary. He came in. He was, we just knew him as a local guy. He was coming in, and he was just trying to find his way around as to who's doing what, where, and everything else. And so, to be honest with you, I didn't pay him a whole lot of attention. There were some things said on his beliefs as it relates to quarterbacks and so forth. So I just kind of – I didn't have a whole lot of interaction with O'Leary.
San Diego Chargers in 1985. Was there a guy named Pete Holohan on that team?
Pete Holohan.
Do you remember Pete? Maybe he just
vaguely. I don't
left.
recall Pete, to be honest with you. I get out to San Diego. I mean, San Diego was kind of interesting.
Was Junior Seau out there?
No, Junior came in after me. Billy Ray Smith. We call him Balls Low. Woodrow Lowe.
Oh, yeah, Woody Lowe. Yeah, Woody Lowe.
Woody, unfortunately, just passed away about a month or so.
Yeah.
Let's see. Lyndon King was another linebacker. So there were a few of us out there. And, unfortunate for me, when my opportunity came in to get a chance to start, I always liked playing special teams, especially kickoff, because it gave me, even when I was at Syracuse and I was a starter, I wanted to be on special teams kickoff because for me, it felt that it allowed me to just get riled up and ready to go, just to smack heads with someone running down the field. And banging heads, and then it's okay, we're ready to go. So did it on that, and I was making the play, and somebody fell on my ankle with my toes were pointing to the ground, but it just kind of, I wish my ankle had broken more so than the bad sprain that it had, because I couldn't do anything. When you have a sprain, it's worse than having just a broke.
Yeah.
Craig, you fought a lot of injuries, not unlike a lot of other NFL players. You had quite a few knee injuries and surgeries. Talk about how the knee injuries, derailed a couple season or so, or parts.
Yeah, the knee injury shortened my career. There's no doubt about that. I mean, the first one happened, the major one. I mean, I had twisted my knee at Syracuse. We were playing, I forgot who the heck, may have been Pitt or somebody at Syracuse, and I twisted the knee, but you just continued to go. But what happened in Green Bay was I was attempting to spin out of a block. Offensive lineman is coming at me, and I'm tempted to spin out of the block. And my left leg stayed planted in the ground while the rest of my body turned. And what was interesting was the guy saying to me, "Dude, are you okay? I heard something pop." And at that point, I was in excruciating pain. I used to just call the trainer over. And at that point, I think I popped my ACL. So, but what was interesting was, a few things happened thereafter. trying to get that to heal back and had a couple surgeries and so forth, and ended up going out to California to find a doctor. And at that time, you couldn't go and get a second opinion in the NFL. So when I went outside of the team to get the work done, after the Steeler doctors had done whatever the heck they did, but didn't actually fix it, I went out to California, and, Dr. Stedman said to me, I was the first NFL player that he was dealing with, because he dealt with skiers up until that point. And he was darn good at what he did. And he said, okay, when do you want to play, this year or next year? I told him I needed to play this year. And so he went in, did what he needed to do on the knee, and then the rest was on me to rehab and get it done. So when I got back to training camp that summer and made the team, the trainer said to me, pulled me aside, and he said, I got to tell you, the front office had asked me about you, and I told them that you were done. There's no chance of you playing again. So you've proved me wrong. And I thought, that's encouraging. At least he was honest enough to share that with me.
Right.
And that became a motivating force.
Yeah, injuries, they couldn't fix knees back then. I mean, it was a hard deal for people to return, and it's such a shame that the NFL to this day does not take care of ex-NFL players like they should.
No.
And that still should be known out there. I know Coach Ditka fought it till he passed away, and guys are fighting it to this day. But I think it needs to stop eventually, and they need to pay up and start taking care of the players, the older players that actually built the league and made the league what it is today, and take care of those guys.
I agree.
Mike Tomlin's out as Steelers coach. What's your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
It's sad to see that happen, because Coach T was a really nice guy, and he made it a point under his tenure to bring back or to invite former players during mini camp, one day during mini camp, to bring guys in to have an interaction with some of the younger players. The other thing that he did was to try and help guys transition, so to speak, into the league, new fresh players coming in, and he would have it that some of the veterans, older guys, retired guys would come in and have a gathering in an evening with some of the rookies coming in, so that if those guys had questions, we were going out, they were coming in, or we'd been out, excuse me, and these guys are coming in. So it was nice to get a chance to meet some of these younger kids, hear their questions, because we all, if you're fortunate to get to the league, there's a commonality there. We've all kind of gone through some of the same things, and you will have different questions.
Now,
that's a great thing. That's very rare for coaches these days to do something.
Yeah, he's a great coach, man. What a great person, man. What a great culture. Never had a losing season. His players played really hard for him.
All the time. I mean, Paul, when you think about it, and you've been a coach, and you look at a situation, and I can recall at the start of the year, people looking the media evaluating the team and saying these guys don't have a prayer of going beyond 8-8 or 7-9 or something along that line. And the next thing you know, they've won 9 or 10 games, and people are just, when you don't have a good quarterback, that's the key. If you don't have a good quarterback, and you look at any of the teams that are successful now, they all have good quarterbacks.
Good point, Craig. Great point. I was just talking with somebody today, a local high school coach here in Pensacola, a long time, 40-year coach, good friend of mine.
Okay.
And I said, I think the secret ingredient in defense now, you got to have both. And those are two main ingredients you have. Indiana has it. Miami has it. It's not a coincidence they're in the finals. But I tip my hat to this Kurt Cignetti, man, taking 2- and 3-star kids. They're older, right? He had a lot of transfers in, so a lot of them are 22, 23, playing against 18-year-old kids. Fernando Mendoza, went to Cristobal's high school, and they told him he wasn't good enough to walk on there. I mean, what a story! What a storybook! What a storybook movie this really is making out to be.
Yeah,
That's awesome. That's awesome. And
Yeah.
I want to digress a minute with Craig.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
Craig, you're always a big weight room guy. Now back at Syracuse, what was the significance of, because you got Mike Woysick came in, I think in your sophomore year?
I believe it was my sophomore year.
Did he have any impact on you in the weight room, or did you remember anything about Mike? Or
Oh, Mike is a tremendous guy. I mean, in the time that Mike came in, he wasn't getting paid much of anything at all. He had to go find another job to help pay for, his accommodations to be able to coach, Frank Maloney's group, and he had to deal with Coach Fitz, and he was making his suggestions on what the players should be doing in terms of lifting and all these different things. And nobody gave him the time of day.
Yeah.
And I liked Mike because I was always intrigued, by the kinesiology of strength training. And so we got into talking about a bunch of different things and so forth. And that was a help. And to this day, I still communicate with Mike from time to time. He's a heck of a guy. When you break it down, the guy has what? Six Super Bowl rings?
Six Super Bowl rings. Six Super Bowl. 3 with the Cowboys, 3 with the Patriots.
Yeah.
And he's a Hall of Famer, and what a blessing it is for you guys to work with.
The guy is just – I remember one story because I was talking with somebody from Dallas, and they said that the front office people had to call Mike and tell him that he needed to go cash his checks because they were getting paid. They were getting paid the playoff checks, and all he was doing, he was so focused on training the guys that he was taking his checks and just dropping them in a drawer. So he's got almost $100,000 in checks just sitting in a drawer, and he said, "Hey, Bing, they tell me go cash your damn checks. What the hell are you doing?"
Bing, we had him on the podcast a couple weeks ago. And
did you?
Yeah, he was great.
The guy, and I'm close to Mike. I talk to Mike at least once every other week. And,
okay.
And he's the most humble guy. He don't want any recognition for nothing.
Right.
Yep. And he was so much to do with what came of me up in Syracuse.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right. No question. No question.
He is the responsible person for a lot of things happening with those guys at Syracuse. When I tell people that our weight room at Syracuse, I mean, the weight room with the Steelers was a little bit bigger than the weight room, at Syracuse. But what we had at Syracuse was just the small garage.
It was.
When you break it down, there wasn't much of anything there. And to go back and see what it is now there, and then to see what the weight room is for the Steelers now, it's night and day.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing to me that all three of us sitting here talking had Hall of Fame strength and conditioning coaches.
Yes.
It's no coincidence that we got the places we probably shouldn't have gotten. And
right.
I attribute I was a strength team All-American in 1984, the very first one. And I would have never played at Bama or in the pros if it wasn't for Al Miller and Kent Johnston, man.
Wow.
Those two guys made me the ball player. And that's, head coaches talk about it. I know, head coaches give a lot of credit to the strength and conditioning coach because they're the ones that spend most of the time with the guys.
Exactly.
Yeah. They're an intricate part of the whole game that you don't hear people talk too much about. Go ahead, Bill.
I got one last question for Craig. Craig,
yes.
Your thoughts on the NIL and paying the athletes and the portal and all that stuff that's going on today in college football.
I think it's great for the athletes. Some of the numbers that I'm hearing from these kids getting paid is just outrageous. However, Jim Tressel was at Syracuse at one point as I think a GA
Yep.
back in the day, Bill, and then he moved on, and I ended up taking my son to one of his football camps when he was at Ohio State, and we got to talking a little bit, catching up on stuff. And the thing that irritated the heck out of me was to see two of his players getting either booted or punished because they traded an autograph to get a haircut.
Yeah.
Right.
And when you think about what the universities had been making for, you have that jersey hanging over your right shoulder there, Bill, they would sell those things for $50-$60 and the players weren't getting anything of it.
Right.
And you look at it and you go, so you're punishing a player because he went to a barber, signed a photo of himself so that he can get the haircut at that time, which was maybe $10-$15.
Right. Ridiculous. Yeah. Totally
You know?
ridiculous. Yep. Yep.
And the funny thing is, I remember, up until my senior year, you might have had a handful of guys that maybe had an old car to drive. Nobody had pocket money. Nobody had anything.
No.
It was there was nothing. There was
No,
nothing.
you know what? I'm glad I didn't grow up in getting that money, because at 18 years old, give me $500,000. See you later. I would not have handled that well, man. Not at all.
Well, but see, that's what they're doing differently as well, because I haven't spoken directly to him, but I've been told that Coach Fran Brown up at Syracuse, they have programs that it's mandatory for the players to go through to learn how to handle their money.
Good.
Right.
Good.
And you need to get that, because unfortunately, I've seen guys come into the NFL that their agents will just, excuse the language, rape the crap out of them.
Right.
One first-round draft choice, everything that his agent did for him, he charged him 10 to 15%. If he made a phone call to arrange for insurance, he's charging him. I said, wait a second, that should be all encompassed in his job title.
Right.
So
yeah, it's a shame.
I got to say, Paulie, when I talk to Craig, and I haven't seen Craig, it's been for 35, 40 years. And,
it's been a while.
And I got to say, listening to him talk, and I excuse my language to say, and the guy's just a professional. He was always that way in college. That's how we remember him, and it just that's what you want.
Right.
True.
Yeah,
guy.
that's how you want to be remembered, man. That's how you want to be remembered. Exactly.
Well, thank you for that, but I thank my parents for how they brought me up, because all of that is a result of how my parents brought me up.
Craig,
Yes.
it's so good to see you again, man. I'm so happy. Where are you living now?
I'm in Pittsburgh still. I'm still down here.
Okay.
Where are you, Bill?
I'm still in Syracuse. I had to move back to help my mom out. She was sick, and
Okay.
I came back this way to take care of her, and I'm trying to figure out my next move.
Okay, got it. I hear you. Well, from time to time, I do make it up that way, and so shoot me your phone number after, because there's a golf out. Well, there's a couple golf outings up there, that I try to come up and participate in. So the next time I'm fortunate to come up that way, I'll give you a shout and let's get together.
Yeah, they got to play in the Marcus Paul one next year. I play with Wysick every year. The Marcus Paul.
When is the Marcus Paul golf tournament this year, Billy?
Oh boy,
I think it's June 1st.
June.
I think it always coincides with the one, because I've been playing in the Connecticut NFL alumni, Connecticut, New York, and those two always kind of clash. But a couple of years ago, I found out that Wysick was up there, so I made it a point to stay over and then drove down early the next day to go to the event that I had in Connecticut. But I hadn't seen Mike in forever and a day, so it was good. I'm going to call him when I get done with you, and hopefully he'll pick up.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell him I said hi.
I will do that.
Everybody wants to know what you're doing now, Craig. Are you still the president, minority-owned company, Diversified Commodities? Are you still running that company?
Yes, still doing that, or as my former boss Chuck Noll would say, I'm still trying to find my life's work.
Oh man!
Hey, have a purpose. That's right, man. Don't ever retire. That's the only thing I do, though. Don't ever retire. Stop.
Yeah,
moving
I
and
hear
working.
you. I hear you on
All
that,
right.
Paul.
Great.
I appreciate you guys having me on. Thanks, guys.
Greg,
Take
Greg,
care.
you're one of the good guys, man. You're aces to me, man.
Thanks, Billy. Good to see you guys too. Take care.
Yeah,
All right.
see you.
All right,
Bye-bye.
man. Thank you.
See you, Billy. Wow. Unbelievable. Billy Penduck, Craig Bingham. What a pair. What a great guy. I hope you enjoyed the show on this Saturday. Stay tuned for these important messages. Without these great sponsors, Sandy Sansing Chevrolet, this just wouldn't be possible. Have a great sports weekend, everybody. So long.
When it comes to buying your next car, truck, or SUV, you need a team that puts you first. Here at the Sandy Sansing dealerships, we're proud to serve Pensacola and the Gulf Coast with the best selection, trusted service, and deals that work for your family. Just like great coaches build great teams, Sandy Sansing builds lasting relationships with every customer who walks through our doors. Because when it comes to finding your next vehicle, there's only one name to remember. Sandy Sansing can.
That's you trying to fix the plumbing yourself to save a few bucks. Doing things yourself doesn't always end well. The same goes for insurance. That's why Auto Owners works with local independent agents who tailor coverage to meet your needs and offer discounts for life, home, car, and business insurance. Because sometimes you need a professional to get the job done right. That's simple human sense.
Are you riding around in a filthy vehicle? Dirty car no more. Visit Ronnie's Car Wash today to get it shining in no time. They have 3 convenient locations with another coming soon. The unlimited monthly wash packages start as low as $14.95 per month with free vacuums, multi-purpose spray and towels. Visit them in Gulf Breeze, Navarre, Fort Walton, and soon Crestview. Don't wait, wash today. Be sure to see Ronnie's Car Wash on Facebook to see the latest specials and discounts. You'll be riding and shining in no time.
75 years of service in high-tech today. It's Pensacola Glass Company at 433-8348. High-tech is a term often applied to advanced services and products in today's marketplace. And today, glass is much more than a simple pane of brittle, see-through stuff we hit baseballs through when we were kids. Glass is now a product with unique flexibility in both performance and application. And Pensacola Glass Company is growing right along. That's Pensacola Glass Company at 433-8348.
When it comes to buying your next car, truck, or SUV, you need a team that puts you first. Here at the Sandy Sansing dealerships, we're proud to serve Pensacola and the Gulf Coast with the best selection, trusted service, and deals that work for your family. Just like great coaches build great teams, Sandy Sansing builds lasting relationships with every customer who walks through our doors. Because when it comes to finding your next vehicle, there's only one name to remember. Sandy Sansing can.